One of the things that you have seen that the authors tried to do in the first 2 chapters is to bring about, you saw it last week in chapter 2, bring about the renewal or the awareness to the reader, to bring this awareness about the promises that God has made. In Jesus' case, the writer says in chapter 2, that upon his death, after his resurrection, and him going and sending back into heaven, he was enthroned and inaugurated, completing the promise, the Davidic promise that God made. You've had a heavy dose already of Christology and eschatology. The Christology in all of this is simply that God became a man. He became a man and went to Calvary and died. And when it comes to Christ and the study of Christology, what we need to focus on more than just a lot of extraordinary details, what we want to focus in on, especially for this audience, is our union with him. Therefore, holy brethren, partakers of a heavenly calling, consider Jesus. And then he gives Jesus 2 titles, the apostle and high priest of our confession. Calls him the apostle and our high priest. Consider him. Listen to him. He's superior to Moses. He goes down and he says, listen, he was faithful to him who appointed him, as Moses also was in all his house. He says, for he had been counted worthy of more glory than Moses. Moses is a servant. Look at him in the comparison or the contrast. He's simply saying Moses is a servant in the household, in this context, of God. Jesus is the owner of the house. Moses serves in the household of God, but Jesus is the builder of the house. That Moses, and they knew this audience knew this about him. Verse 5, that he was a faithful in all this house. He says he was faithful for a testimony of those things which were to be spoken of later. In this context, with Moses, God was building a nation. God was calling a people unto himself. And the writer just simply reminds his audience that Jesus Christ is the architect. Jesus Christ is the builder, the developer. Jesus Christ is the one who's over the family and the household. You're building the family of God. You are building it. And so he calls him, he says in verse 3, he's worthy. Worthy of more glory than Moses, just so much as the builder of the house has more honor than the house. You don't see it physically, but spiritually, Jesus is seated at the right hand of the Father right now. It's invisible, but it's real. He's ruling and he's reigning from heaven right now. Already, he reigns.